Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing today? I am Sarah Sewell, and I am here to host our Meet the Maker series here on the Go Imagine Facebook page. We are going to be talking to, today we're going to be talking to Kari Asbury with Kari Asbury Designs. And we're just going to learn a little bit about her, a little bit about what she makes. I'm hoping to learn a little bit about the journey that led her from making what she makes to starting a business, selling her goods online, and learn about maybe the rewards from having a home-based business, and also maybe some of the challenges. We're also here open to the public, so hopefully if anyone watching has any comments or questions you'd like to ask myself or Kari, we will get to those too after we meet Kari. So let's bring Kari up. Hello, Kari. Hello. Sorry, there wasn't a whole lot of prep there, but this is our first Meet the Maker here in Go Imagine, at least with me hosting. My name is Sarah, as I introduced myself earlier. I had a very successful handmade business selling online for years. I closed my handmade business and started my own consulting agency where I work alongside makers. And so I am so excited to just start this series so that we can get to know more about, what it means to be a maker and what it means to own and run and maintain and manage and grow a handmade business, something from scratch that can turn into something very lucrative where you can actually live the life of your dreams. It sounds so, cliche, but it does happen. So thanks, Kari. I know you're nervous, but thank you so much for being our number one, our very first person that we're going to be talking to. So if you could, can you just, first of all, what is your business name?
My business is Kari Asbury Jewelry.
Okay, so you are a jewelry designer, yes?
Yes.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a maker? How did you get into designing jewelry? And then how did you go from I'm going to design jewelry to I'm going to start a business and grow a business from it?
I actually started making beaded wine glasses. A friend was getting married and we went to the store, found some fancy glasses. I bought some beads and made her the glasses. Because I come from a creative, crafty type background. My mom paints. My grandfather used to restore merry-go-round horses. So I come from that kind of, liking to do the creative things. I made her glasses. She loved them. A couple other people bought them. And that really started my addiction to beads, which you will hear a lot of jewelry people say. It's the beads that drag you in. And then my mom asked me to make a couple, just pieces of jewelry for her. And then people started saying, I fell into the trap, that everyone falls into of people saying, oh, you should sell that.
Yep.
Like it's such an easy thing. But in the beginning, doing a few little small craft shows around me and stuff, it was a nice income for a single mom of 2 small kids at the time. And I continued to work my corporate job and, it all kind of came together. Probably in the last 6 or 7 years or so, I have really become more focused on making this what I do, phasing myself out of the corporate world. I have some chronic health issues that I deal with, so it's nice to be able to move at my own pace sometimes, which is hard to do when you're corporate. I mean, it just is.
Yeah, I think that's one of the nice things about having a home-based business, no matter really what you do, is that you do have that freedom. I mean, of course, we have to talk about that kind of loosely because, you get busy, you have orders, you have things to maintain and manage. It doesn't mean you have a lot of time. But what's nice is that you're able to manage your time, right?
Right.
On what you can spend. Now, you started with beads and going into beading. Kind of, I'm very familiar with your brand and your designs. I own quite a few pieces of your stuff because I'm a big fan. But can you kind of describe now kind of what your jewelry has evolved into? You started with beading, and then kind of where are you at now? What mediums do you like to work with? What supplies, materials do you like to work with? Like, what your brand is kind of, and thank you, you can kind of see it here on the screen. You have this kind of bohemian vibe and feel and look to your items. Your Go Imagine shop is just beautiful. It looks absolutely stunning. So kind of tell me more about the style of and the designs of the pieces that you create.
My brand it's really evolved probably in the last 6 years or so. I would say I started out like every maker does. You know, you kind of have a mishmash of things, and you're still testing out what you want to do or what things you enjoy. I do have several art bead people that I like to buy their beads, and I like to make really elaborate art pieces like the one I'm wearing today. I don't have as many of those listed right now because they tend to be one of a kind pieces. Most of what I work in now, though, is probably the gemstones, the pearls. I love leathers and fiber materials. I've evolved from, you know, again, where everyone starts with kind of I don't want to say lower end materials, but coppers, brasses, you know, some of the less expensive metals to work in while you're learning. Now, most of what I do is precious metals. It's sterling silver. I work in a lot. I also have rose gold pieces and gold and yellow gold pieces. I really I'm still, even now, I love to find a new material or play with a new thing or try a new technique. You know, I'm constantly learning and evolving. A lot of what I'm doing now is really centered around my television pieces. So far, I've been on 18 different TV shows and movies. And I have 24 pieces total that have been used through those. Some shows have used more than one piece that I've presented.
Now that is so cool. You have to love that. I mean, here you are, this artisan jewelry designer that's making these really cool pieces, you know, jewelry for people to wear. And you literally have celebrities and actors and actresses wearing your pieces in TV shows. Like, how does that make you feel inside? I mean, to me, it's like, wow, I've made it. You know, to be able to have that kind of visibility has to be huge for you.
You know, it never gets old. I think back to my very first piece that was ever used, and my most recent piece that was used, and it never gets old. I mean, I have my most recent thing is I had 3 pieces in Firefly Lane, which is a new Netflix series based on a book series.
That's with Catherine Hagel, right?
Yes, and Catherine Hagel wore one of my pieces.
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, does it get more exciting than that? I'm not sure it does, but it probably does. You know, my husband, who is very supportive. I have a wonderful family, a wonderful support system. Every time something is on TV and I have that official confirmation, I do a little dance and a song that I'm sure drives my husband crazy, but also he laughs at me and celebrates with me. My brand has really come together, though, since I joined Flourish. And got some focus on colors and photography. I mean, I have an amazing photographer that I send my products to, and you can see what she does. There's not a picture in there that isn't one she has taken. In fact, that's her in this picture that's up.
She happens to be a fabulous model. So you're talking about Zuli McKim, right? Zuli does this amazing product photography for makers, and she also does model some of her things, which you see here in this picture. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
So I love working with her. I've made some wonderful connections, and it's really helped my brand evolve to what you see now.
Yeah.
I think now I'm, more cohesive and more focused than I've ever been. For my
Wonderful.
TV spots, I am part of, I'm going to do a little plug here, part of the Artisan Group.
Yes.
And
And so what is the Artisan Group? That helps makers kind of connect with these TV shows and connect with these big
yes,
media places, right?
our founder, Valerie, has all the connections. She knows so many people in Hollywood and knows so many costume designers. And she's able to get us these opportunities, and where many times these opportunities, I mean, I've gifted things like the Oscars swag bags, um, things that would normally be so far out of my financial ability,
Right.
to do. And yet, because she pools a group of members and the way she offers it, we're able to pay a much smaller fee and gift our products and have these opportunities.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful group. I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary with them in December.
Yay.
And every piece that's been on TV, every one of those opportunities has come as a result of
Yeah.
that
The Artisan Group.
connection.
So what was your biggest challenge in building a handmade brand? There may be makers out there that are just getting started, right? They make something, maybe they do it for fun, maybe they do it like you started for friends and family. Maybe they wanted to make a gift, maybe during the pandemic they decided, you know what, let's get a laser or let's get a Cricut or let's learn a new skill. And they've had, just like you said, and I know most people that get started in this industry, they have people say, wow, that's really cool. You should sell that, and then we have this wonderful platform like Go Imagine that has, very low fees to get on and get started and have this beautiful space to offer our goods, right, to the public.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say has been your biggest challenge in building a brand, from essentially some beads and wire?
I think my biggest challenge has been getting myself out there.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert at my very core. I mean, I like to sit in a quiet corner and make my stuff. And if I could hire out everything else past that, I might do it. It was difficult for me in the beginning years to do in-person shows because you have to talk to people all day. And it's not that I don't like talking to people, but it's hard. It's hard to talk about yourself. It's hard to say, here's all the reasons I'm great.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what it feels like to me. And I think there are a lot of stigmas about how we sell and how selling feels. So I think that's hard for someone who's making their own thing, because you're putting yourself out there. And now, I started out with a different business name and kind of in a different place, but now my name is on this, my brand, that I am my brand.
Yes.
As much my brand as I can get. And that's a really tough place to be. It's a really tough place sometimes to talk about myself. And I know I put out quality work. I know I put out beautiful items. They're going to last you. You're going to enjoy them. But boy, that's hard to say to someone,
Yes.
The Artisan Group, again, that's a place where these TV placements have helped me, because I have those prominently displayed everywhere. So if someone starts a conversation, they come up and they say, oh my gosh, you've had a piece on such and such, or how did you make this happen? And it has created a conversation opener for me that is priceless, really.
Oh, I'm sure people would be like, oh my gosh, I love that show. Like, that's my favorite show. And you probably have that to be a good icebreaker, right? When people are now, when you translate that into an online business, this is what I love about having an online business, is because there are a lot of people out there like you that are introverts, that aren't this like, super smooth talker, salesman out there pounding the pavement, promoting and marketing their business, right? So you have the ability to have this great success, to have this great visibility by moving your business into an online environment, right? So you're selling on, let's say, like using Go Imagine, which is amazing. You're able to, in the back, like you said, kind of in the corner, making your stuff, you're able to take this content, right? Whether it's pictures of your items or copy, listing description that you've written, or you've hired out, copywriters to write. Maybe you don't like talking so much about yourself, but maybe having a copywriter create a beautiful about story for you, or about your brand, and then being able to curate this all in one spot to where now you have this home, right? This online virtual store, if you will, that people can walk into, browse your products, read your amazing story, see these beautiful pictures, and really get to know you and your brand without you actually having to meet them face to face. Right. So I feel like the online world, e-commerce is really paving the way for all of these people who normally they have the ability and the skill to have a business, to create these amazing products and trade them for money, right?
Yes.
But they maybe wouldn't do that normally in a brick and mortar. So I feel like you're a good example of that. Somebody who's able to create this beautiful brand without having to go too much outside of their comfort zone.
Well, and I think about where I started and where I am now. And in some ways, I part of me wishes, if I could go back, start more online. I think I'd start from a different place of branding, because really the branding you're seeing today, that picture has only come about in the last couple of years.
Right.
I was kind of, I've had an online presence for quite a while in all of the different forms, but I wasn't actively working them. Of course,
Right.
The pandemic has changed that, because the few art shows and things that I do, that I was normally doing, weren't available this year. Things closed down. And because of my health, I do have to be a bit more vigilant about,
who you
that
come
I
into
would want
contact
this
with.
anyway, but really being more vigilant about not getting it. So that has changed my focus. And in some ways, I wish I had pushed that a little bit further in the beginning. But, in the beginning, 8 or 10 years ago, things like Go Imagine didn't exist.
Right.
I loved it when the platform opened. I signed right up in beta. It's a great price to list my products each month. I love that they are giving back, and that is their, and I love that they want to promote handmade, that they want to promote that kind of product. Rather than just, some of the reselling and all the other things that can happen on marketplaces or that you find on people's websites or whatever.
Yes.
I love that. I do a lot that surrounds handmade.
Yeah, I agree. Working on the multiple platforms that are out there right now for handmade and not, what I think gets lost in the shuffle is the actual humanity of it.
Yes.
Like you have other big platforms out there that say that they're for handmade, and maybe they did start that way. And this isn't to bash anyone by no means, but I feel like we've lost in this digital world. We've lost some humanity in it. And Go Imagine seems so refreshing because it's bringing that back. It's like, even just the founder of Go Imagine is in these Facebook groups. Like, can you imagine the founder of like some of these larger platforms being in the groups, and talking to people? It's so new and so refreshing that he cares about the sellers, and and he's actually wanting to create something and do some work for good, which I love. He probably isn't going to want us to be talking about him the whole time, but it's refreshing to have that.
Yeah. Well, and I need to give my little plugs, because I do like, that is what brought me to the marketplace, because there are plenty of other marketplaces, going on if you want to sign up for something other than the big name ones.
Yes.
Where I am also.
Right.
And I have my own website, I'm dabbling in all of it.
It's good to diversify, isn't it? Like, that's something that we like to talk about. It's good to have a good reach across the interwebs so that you have representation wherever your customers may be.
Right.
Right.
But when I was thinking about where to put my things, that was a huge selling point that Go Imagine is. There's so much humanity there,
Right.
in what they want to do and what their mission is and in how they want to approach it. That makes it easy. That makes it easy to go to your social stuff and to share and say, hey, I'm joining up with this new marketplace. It's going to be part of my thing. And they are doing, these things.
Right.
It makes them different. It makes them stand out. So whether
Well, I
John
know.
likes us to talk about him or not, he gets a little plug because, it spoke to me.
Well, he created that whole the caring economy, and I feel like I think that was a good word, was the humanity, is that bringing humanity back to commerce,
Yeah, it matters to people.
It could be. So what would you say is the most rewarding part of having a home-based business? I think you kind of touched on it here and there. I know for me, it's being able to stay home with my children. There's nothing more rewarding than that for me. But what about you? What do you love about being able to work from home?
So my kids are adults. My daughter still lives at home, but my son is out of the home, and he has two daughters, 2 and 4. And probably the absolute best thing has been that for the last 4 years, I can have my granddaughters, a couple days a week. At one point, I had them like 3 or 4 days a week. Most recently, 1 day a week. But being able to take that whole day,
Yeah.
I do a post on social media that says, "Hey, we're in, chaos coordinator mode today because the grandkids are here," and to be able to take time, if I want to do something. I'm very fortunate in my family that we have 5 living generations.
Amazing.
And that's not something you get very often. Some people are lucky to just have their grandparents, but we've got grandparents and great grandparents and, great great grandparents. So to be able to take a day and spend it with my grandmother, who I know is not going to be here forever. I mean, she's going strong now,
Right.
but you have to consider that, so being able to take those moments and do those things, again, being able to, with my health, get out of bed and not have to get dressed and not have to get pretty, but be able to go down and work on things and talk to people, and have conversations and engage without, even if you're not necessarily feeling like getting up and getting dressed and getting out of the house.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've made some phenomenal connections, being a home-based handmade business.
That's a good point. That's a good point saying that, because I think sometimes the fear in running a home-based business for people that are not introverts would be, well, how do I talk to people? How do I meet people? And, won't I get lonely, or won't I feel isolated? And the digital world now, with Facebook groups and communities and things like that, have made it to where, yes, perhaps your in-person interaction lowers or decreases, but you have this wealth of community out there with all these different platforms now, so that you're able to still interact and get feedback and grow from and find support and encouragement, right?
Well, and I've met people that I wouldn't have otherwise necessarily met. My photographer, I'm in Oregon, so I'm on the West Coast. My photographer is in Florida on the East Coast. I might have met her somewhere in some random thing, but I probably wouldn't have connected with her in the way that I have if it hadn't been for being a home-based business, being part of a business group, Flourish, and making those types of connections. And she is somebody I can't imagine not not having her daily dose of snark that she might post for me, or,
Right.
some little funny, or, reaching out to say to her, oh, hey, I need to make a change to this or that. Let me just mess with the
Yeah.
process.
Well,
And
what I think, like from the outside looking in, because I'm familiar with your brand and your website and your pictures, and I feel like she breathed life into your products. Like she gave your brand life with the way that she captures like the essence of your pieces. And I
she,
feel like that, we talk about that a lot in our circles, but to be able to hire, as when you run a home-based business, sometimes you think you have to wear all the hats. And although surely getting started you do, but the successful ones are ones that hire that kind of stuff out, the stuff that maybe they don't excel so much in, but someone else, a professional who really knows what they're doing, can do that, and then really it just completely elevates and makes your brand evolve into magnificence even.
well, and I got so lucky with Zuli. I mean, we connected right off the bat. Um, I have given her, uh, my photography struggles from our business BFF and all of our
Yeah,
other things. I'm not a photographer. I don't want to be a photographer. It gives me a headache and anxiety more than this live does.
right.
I
You're
just don't
doing
want
great, by
to.
the way.
But connecting with Zuli, I was able to say to her in our first call, which has been over 2 years ago now, um, here's what my brand's about. Here's some highlights. You do what you do. I mean, she's the photographer, she's the professional. If I can't have confidence in what she's going to produce for me, and I'm going to have to be micromanaging her, as it were, then that's not a relationship that works. Um,
Right.
2 years later, I'm still in it. We're still, I'm part of her subscription program. So I get monthly photos and so many monthly products. And it's just a great system for me. I send her the
Right.
stuff and she takes care of it. I pick my photos and I put them up, and I'm done with that part.
Right.
I also have a copywriter who doesn't write all of my listings, but she wrote my brand story and she
Mhm.
wrote my personal artist bio. Um,
And
I
did
think
you upload those to your Go Imagine shop? Because I noticed that's something that Go Imagine does really well, is when you go into the listing, they have these sections and you can have your whole meet the maker story and all of that right there on your listing page. Is that something you have set up?
um, I believe I do, but that reminds me I probably need to check and see it, make sure that I have the new one, because it's fairly recently that I've had her write those things for me.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I'll double check that when we jump off of here. But having those things, because it's the face of everything. I mean, it was priceless to just be able to pay someone and have them take care of it, and
Yeah.
have them present me with a final result. The same thing on the pictures. I don't give Zuli any instruction. Each month, she takes out the pieces I've sent her for that month, and she decides what props we're doing. She decides. Um, I haven't had a recent round of modeled shots, but I'm planning to get another one of those. And I have asked her specifically, to use her and her sister as she did before, because their look, their, that whole thing, I think is perfect for my brand.
Right.
And honestly, when I started with her, I didn't even know that would be the case. She came back with pictures and I'm like, wow, you captured everything I couldn't necessarily relay to you in
In a
in
text message. Yeah.
you
Or
know
instruction. So what if you had advice, if you had, you knew someone, a first time maker or somebody that they make something and they're really thinking about getting a business going, what advice would you have for them? I mean, you've been doing this now for many years. What it would be your number one tip, or what advice would you have for them in wanting to start a business? Like what would you have told Kari way back then, if you
um,
knew what you did now?
I think the biggest thing, is to just start. um, Even today, what, 18 years later, I still get caught up sometimes in the paralysis of, should I list that? What should I write for that social blurb? What should I, as makers, because we're putting ourselves out there to a certain degree with everything we do,
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes very hard to just get started.
Right.
I also suffer from perfectionism on so many not good levels
Yeah.
that I see all the flaws in what I might be doing. And so sometimes it's hard to start. And the other thing is to surround yourself with people who support you and build you up.
Yeah.
I never could have started if at that time I wasn't married. I was a single mom, but my mom encouraged me every step of the way. To this day, my mom encourages me every step of the way.
Oh, I love that.
My husband is so supportive of everything that I'm doing. Um, even when I'm sometimes spending money I don't necessarily have to spend, you know. He'll look at me and say, I know we got to spend a little to,
Yeah.
push us to that next level. Today, when I was getting ready for this, he's like, I know you're nervous. I know you hate to do that. And he's a YouTuber. He does
Ah,
videos on YouTube for gaming. And so he's used to being in front of the camera, and to him, it's nothing. And he's a bit of an extrovert. So he
that,
understands but kind of doesn't understand. But even this morning, he's like, you look great. You're all ready for this. This is going to be exciting. It's, going to be the next thing.
yeah.
And that was very encouraging. It was just what I needed to hear today before I was,
Well,
getting
I think
started.
that is key. Surrounding sometimes we don't have a choice. Well, I think we always have a choice, but sometimes, it's hard to divorce your parents. It's hard, if you're
It is.
in a relationship with someone that's, let's say, more negative. It's hard to get out of that. But it is important to surround yourself, and even if you're surrounding yourself again digitally, or the stuff that you listen to, your music or your podcasts or whatever, to listen to successful, positive, uplifting people, because they can lift you up and they can definitely help you strive to be the best that you can be.
If
in,
you
in the
don't
business.
have family and you don't have friends and you don't have people in person, absolutely make the connections. I mean,
Yeah.
I found Flourish totally by accident through
Yeah.
another BD friend mentioning a loss that happened in Flourish, and that's what brought me to Flourish.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what caused me to look up Flourish and say, what is this? And then think, oh, I need that in my life.
Yeah.
And I did at that time. I kind of didn't realize, and I wouldn't have known what to look for if that friend hadn't mentioned it.
Right.
Now I have so many friends with Flourish, um, and we are so supportive and so uplifting to one another that, that's really priceless. And if you don't
Right.
have a community like that,
Yes. And
you know,
also, meeting the founder from Go Imagine, that's I think Flourish is what connected me with him. And he now is creating an amazing community also full of other sellers. And so I see this kind of ripple effect where there's lots of people out there starting these wonderful supportive communities for the maker community, the maker industry. And you're right, when you don't have a lot of that, if you don't have a lot of that at home, you're able to kind of make these connections in these communities, which are amazing. What do you say is the next what do you see as the next big thing for Kari Asbury Designs? Like, what do you want to see happen with your brand? I mean, I've just personally, I've watched you evolve over the last couple of years, and it's been so inspiring to watch. But what's your next big step? What do you see in your future for Kari Asbury?
well, after today and over this live hump, woohoo! Um, I think my next big thing is to start reaching out PR wise.
Yes.
Um, I want some media coverage. I want some you know, I say, until it comes, and then I'm nervous about it. But I mean, I would love to have some PR features. I
Yes.
want I want more TV shows. You know, I'm getting ready to send out a package tomorrow that's some products going out to 6 major TV shows. Um,
Excellent.
you know, I want more of what I have. I want to build my online presence as well, because
Yeah.
that's something that, um, now it's just time for me to do. I'm not sure I want to go back. There's 1 or 2 art shows I'd love to have reopen post pandemic when everyone
Mhm.
can, safely gather. And I like those, and might do, 1 or 2 dabble here or there. But I'd love for that to be a choice that I'm making because I want to go do it, not because I have to drag all this stuff out because I, you know,
Need to,
need
right.
to be getting my name out in that way.
That's
Um,
amazing. Well,
yeah,
and I know, I think that John announced that last week in the Go Imagine group, they have partnered with a PR company that is going to be working on getting Go Imagine shops and sellers into some gift guides
yeah,
and, kind of out there in the media, which I think is wonderful. It's good to see a platform creating that kind of opportunity for its sellers, to really work to get the name out there. Um,
yeah. I got an email from him about that, and being able to shop around a couple of my products and stuff. And I think that is terrific.
right,
And I think it's, again, uh, a unique step for a marketplace. I mean, other marketplaces do PR for their marketplace. And as a result of that PR, you might get a few sellers, shared because of that.
yeah,
But this feels like a different approach. It feels like,
right,
um, feels like a different way to go with it, which is very appealing because, I love the marketplace, and it should be sharing its own thing, and it has a great, again, the caring based
yeah,
part of it,
economy, right,
is a great thing. But your sellers make your platform. I mean, you can have any platform you want, but if you don't have people bringing their products to list there and sell there, your
yes,
platform's not really going to do much. I mean, if
yes,
it's a selling platform, I should preface that,
right,
because there are, of course, bloggers and other things that, your
yeah,
platform doesn't run on that. But I think that I really like that about Go Imagine, and I like that about John's approach, is that I think in there he understands that his sellers make his platform,
right, right.
and that,
There is that perfect blend, right? You need to have the products on your site for the shoppers to come see, right? Like there has to be a good
Mhm.
variety of items, and the products have to look good because people are going to want to shop from that platform if there are nice, beautiful things on there. It is very much, especially I can't imagine the hill that has to be climbed in the beginning of getting a platform started, but it seems to be that they're doing something right because it sure is it's taking off in my opinion very well. And to have makers like you within the first year, um, you know being able to promote your goods on their website and to list your goods on their marketplace, it's very valuable. I'm sure that they very much appreciate you.
well, like I say,
um,
I was excited about it from the beginning, and I would have signed up for it, and even if I never got around to listing it, I would continue paying for it because
right,
of that caring
yes, yeah,
I'm that person. I make contributions though. Around in my area, we have a couple of organizations that reach out to me regularly, when they're having their auctions and stuff for, kids with cancer, and they're trying to,
mhm.
and maybe I'm a sucker for that, but I'm a sucker for it.
I mean, it's, being
Dogs and
human,
kids.
right? Now, where can we find you? So on Go Imagine, you are Kari Asbury Jewelry.
Yes.
Great.
I'm Kari Asbury Jewelry in most places.
Okay.
I think it's Twitter and Pinterest that limit your characters. So in those places, I'm Kari Asbury Jewel instead of
Great. Okay.
jewelry.
All right. Sounds good. So everybody, if you're watching and you want, I'm telling you, I have been in the maker handmade community for, 10 plus years. And I have bought from a lot of jewelers, and Kari's designs are one of my most favorite. She's one of my most favorite jewelry designers. I bought gifts for my family from her, and of course myself. She's very interesting. I like to say, and I don't know if you've ever heard this, Kari, I feel like your jewelry is mixed media. Like I've always said about your jewelry, I'm like, I don't know somebody that can put leather and pearls and gemstones and metal together and make this beautiful, like, artisan piece of jewelry. I very much feel like you're an artist in your own right.
Thank you.
For sure. You're welcome. I would like to open up any comments or questions I'm able to read here before we end and say goodbye to Kari. So if anybody that's watching has any questions for Kari specifically, or any questions about running and starting and building your own maker business using the Go Imagine platform, by all means, please feel free to ask. I have someone, Lori is asking, what is the Artisan Group? So you touched on that a little bit. I know what it is, but some of our viewers may not. What is the Artisan Group?
So the Artisan Group is a jury curated group of artists. We are all hand makers, so we all make our own products, and we gift. Basically, our premise is to bring handmade to Hollywood. So we are given the opportunities to gift TV shows, costume designers. And those opportunities are predominantly for apparel and jewelry people, because when we're dealing with a costume designer, they don't do decor or any of that. They costume the actors and actresses. We also, in the past, pre-pandemic, and once we're post-pandemic, I'm sure we will go back to this, but we do the Golden Globes,
so
and
cool,
the Oscars. In the past, we have also done CMA Awards, the Grammys, all the major award shows. In the days leading up to the award show, they do swag lounges. And I'm sure everyone's heard of celebrity swag. They talk about it. The Artisan Group curates a bag for these events that's given to every celebrity that comes through, and some members of the press and the media. So you can end up with shout outs on social pages from actors or actresses that have worn products. We get a lot of shout outs because the men come through and they always grab a bag because they have a wife, a mother, a sister who are commandeering the bags. And they, actually, as great as the women are about shouting about the jewelry or the pieces they got or some great bath bomb or candle they got in there, the men are phenomenal about it. They'll post pictures of the bags being opened and things like that, and always very grateful. So we do those, but normally when you gift those events, if you were to gift it by yourself, you'd pay $10,000 to $20,000 to have a presence at one of those award shows. When we do an award show as a member of the Artisan Group, it's less than $400, not including the product we gift.
Wow.
And that's up to you, what you gift and all of that. So
it's such a cool concept. And we've seen the kind of promotion power behind celebrities endorsing products. You get Drew Barrymore, and you got all these different people that are really involved in the handmade communities that do give shout outs, and how it's grown our visibility as makers. I'm thinking if we could I have to get John and what's her name, the lady with the Artisan Group?
Valerie.
I have to get John and Valerie together. Have maybe he could help sponsor something. I'm saying this publicly. He's probably screaming my name. Don't say that. No,
but I mean, it's an amazing.
My whole shows. No, I think
it's
that would
an
be
amazing
so cool.
group, though, and we we've also had opportunities to gift individual celebrities. So during the pandemic, she was reaching out to celebrities and said, "Hey, can we gift you?" So we got to gift people like Zoe Kravitz.
Oh, so cool.
We got to gift Drew Barrymore right
Yeah.
before she was starting her new show that she's doing.
Yeah.
We also do a Mother's Day gifting where we go through and, give her a list of new moms we'd like her to reach out to, or pregnant celebrities at the time. So right now we're in the process of curating that list and getting ready to do our Mother's Day gifting. So there's just lots of opportunities to be worn. And then, like I said, the TV spots for me have just blown up.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Kari, thank you for joining us today. I don't see any other questions out there from anyone. So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. It was absolutely amazing talking to you and learning a little bit about your story and your process and how you've kind of come, where you've come from, how your brand has evolved. This was wonderful. I absolutely love. Oh, Debbie Rose says no questions, but she did a great job.
Thanks,
so I know
Debbie.
you were so nervous about being live. We're going to do this every other Monday or one Monday a month. We haven't got a schedule yet, but we will be posting it here on the Go Imagine page. And we will do this Maker Monday where we can interview one of our amazing makers from the Go Imagine platform, get to know them and their story a little bit and see kind of all the cool designs that they make. And I just love this so much. So thank you for being my first guest, Kari. I know you were nervous. And everybody else, we will see you again. I assume in a few weeks, we'll do another one. Until then, you all happy selling. Have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you all later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.